Intermittent fasting. I've got a lot of questions about this lately. That's why I figure I would go ahead and answer this one because it seems to be a common question. I like it. It's cool. I don't see a reason to avoid it. I think that these people who are freaking out like, oh, intermittent fasting is bad for you. You're gonna lose all your muscle. Full of shit. Just like how the whole thing about you have to eat every 3 hours is a crock of shit too. Um, is intermittent fasting really that much better? I don't really think so. I think if you eat the same number of calories, regardless if you eat it in a 9 hour or 8 hour window versus, eating them throughout the day over the course of 16 hours, I think you're roughly the same as far as body composition, weight loss, all the stuff like that, the stuff people care about. If you're eating 200 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbohydrates, and 100 grams of fat a day, regardless if you split it up into 5 meals, 6 meals, or 2 meals, I don't really think it makes a difference. I think our bodies are a little more efficient than people give them credit for. However, I would like to jump on one thing with intermittent fasting. It keeps your insulin level low. And by keeping your insulin level low, that should, theoretically at least, encourage more activity of HSL, hormone sensitive lipase, so you should be burning more body fat during the time that you're fasting. However, if you sit down for your meal of intermittent fasting and you down, 6,000 calories of Ben and Jerry's, 6 pints. Not that I would ever eat 6 pints of ice cream. Have never done that, right? Certainly not a Vermonster. But in any case, my point being, if you overeat, even if it's intermittent fasting, it's not going to magically, oh, I burned all this fat, so it's okay for me to be a pig and eat a Vermonster every day. So, in any case, the point that I'm making is that calories in versus calories out definitely does matter. To what degree there may be some variability. I would argue that some people thrive on different macronutrient balances. Some people thrive on a high fat diet, some people thrive on a high carb diet. Most people thrive on a diet that's pretty balanced, actually, because surprisingly enough, our body likes to have all three fuel sources: protein, carbs, and fat. But the bottom line is that with intermittent fasting, really, I think as far as body comp, that's what most people are interested in. I think that as far as body comp, eating the same number of calories, regardless of how you eat it, is what's going to make the difference. In terms of health, I definitely think that intermittent fasting could improve your health. I think that intermittent fasting could certainly improve insulin sensitivity, probably lower C-reactive protein, probably lower IGF-1 levels, which would not be optimal for people trying to gain muscle, right? IGF-1 is more anabolic than testosterone, really. When we see people that have low IGF-1 levels, they lose muscle even if their testosterone level is high, and people with low testosterone levels are okay as long as their IGF-1 stays high. So lowering IGF-1, though, is sort of anti-cancer. So that's why I say there's some health properties to it. I definitely think that intermittent fasting increases the expression of SIRT1. It's a gene that your body expresses that's kind of linked to like anti-aging and longevity. Maybe some increased apoptosis and autophagy of cells, provided that you're not binging and eating some ridiculous number of calories during your eating window. So yes, intermittent fasting definitely probably has some health benefits, but it probably isn't the best thing for gaining muscle. And I really doubt that it's like the end all be all of weight loss. However, it may be easier for someone to follow intermittent fasting than it is to eat 6 meals a day. So, mentally, psychologically, it might be easier for you just to tell yourself, hey, listen, I'm not going to start eating till 2 p.m. And your willpower gets you there. And then at 2 p.m., then you can go ahead and eat and, you break your day up. So, it may be easier to follow just psychologically than trying to eat all day long. But, like I said, in the end, calories in, calories out, that's what's going to make the difference in whether or not you gain or lose weight. Um, but I don't see a reason to avoid intermittent fasting either. I think a lot of these guys are like, oh, intermittent fasting, it'll destroy your thyroid, it ruins your metabolism, blah, 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 blah. They're fear mongering. I don't think our body's that fragile. I really don't. I can't believe it, because if we think about it, I mean, what have we evolved for? What have we adapted to? I've gone, what was my worst one? 10 days? Yeah, I've gone 10 days without food or sleep. Obviously, I had water in that time, but I mean, I didn't die from it, and when I started eating again, I didn't magically put on shitloads of fat. So, this idea like, oh, you can destroy your metabolism by intermittent fasting. I don't think our bodies are that fragile. I think if you're eating enough, there's the catch, because some people will intermittent fast and they'll be in a very large caloric deficit. I think that's where you see the problems. But if you're intermittent fasting and you're eating an adequate number of calories, I would expect to see a positive shift in your health markers. So that's the point that I'm making here. I don't think that intermittent fasting is some kind of magic pill, but I I think the fear of it is so overblown. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, yes, we're so fragile we can't go 16 hours without eating. Come on. That's just stupid. I mean, anyone who's logical and scientific, is going 16 hours without eating optimal to build the most muscle? No. But are you going to lose all of your muscle? No. Is it going to ruin your thyroid? No. Are you going to shut your body down? No. Are you going to shut down your metabolism? No. Come on, let's be logical here. I mean, anyone out there knows Ansel Keys' study, the Minnesota experiment, the starvation experiment. Even look at people who are in the concentration camps, literally starving. Literally starving. Did they all get fat when they got out of the concentration camps? Have you ever met a Holocaust survivor? They're usually pretty thin people, even in old age. So I don't believe this whole thing about, oh, if you undereat, it's going to crush your thyroid, and intermittent fasting, and it'll destroy your metabolism. Go ahead and do it. If it works for you, do it. That's the catch. If it works for you and you can sustain that diet, if it's something that you're capable of adhering to, if it makes it easier for you to follow your diet, do it. If not, then go eat your 6 meals a day. I don't care. Done.